Welcome back to the Deliberate Leaders Podcast. I am your host, Allison Dunn, executive coach and founder of this leadership podcast dedicated to helping leaders build strong, thriving businesses. Each episode, we feature inspiring interviews to help you on your leadership journey. Super excited to introduce our guest today. We have with us Amy Lynn Durham. She is the CEO of Create Magic at Work. Her company's intention is to offer spiritual intelligence, which we're going to quote as SQ, and emotional intelligence, as commonly known as EQ, tools to energize and transform the workplace. As an expert in building positive company cultures, Amy designed Create Magic at Work to bring a variety of services and strategies to aid in cultivating teamwork, harmony, in order to improve profits and employee morale. So no small task. Amy, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I am happy to be here today.
Awesome. I love to kick these off with a deliberate conversation. Amy, what would be your number one leadership tip for our listeners today?
Oh, wow. I thought we might do this at the end, but we'll start it off. We'll kick it off this way. So my number one leadership tip today, it may change in the future, would be, yeah, exactly right, would be I'm really challenging people that I interact with to think deeply about what servant leadership means to them. And because I feel like it's kind of a buzzword right now, and to sort of peel back the layers as far as what that means to you as a leader, access that internal wisdom within you. For me, it means, can we take it a step further? Can we take it past the point where we think servant leadership is answering to our customers and our employees and our shareholders and our coworkers? Can we move it even farther, take it a step further to what's the ripple effect we're leaving on the planet? What about the resources that we're using? Can we move business into a space where it's not just for profit, but acknowledging the ripple effect that we leave?
Okay, so define that for what their company is and encompassing all of that around it. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you've written a book. It's titled Create Magic at Work. And who does not want more magic at work? Right. So who did you write the book for, and what is it about?
Create Magic at Work is a tiny magical book, and it's filled with activities for leaders to utilize in the workplace. So I wrote it for the leader or the manager that wants to do some sort of connecting activity with their team, and they just need to grab a quick handbook and flip to it, and you have one right there for you. So they intentionally have an underlying way of skill building in EQ and SQ. So emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence. I always like to share that the data shows that close work friendships boost employee satisfaction by 50%. We know that bringing people together improves profitability and productivity. And that's what I wrote Create Magic at Work for.
Okay. So a functional book to help open up to any page and give you some ideas about it.
Yeah.
Just for our listeners, I know EQ is spoken about a lot. So emotional intelligence. Could you just share a little bit about the spiritual SQ part of things, and then how are they different, and how should we be thinking about them?
Yeah, the best way I like to explain that, and there's many different ways. There's not one answer, that it's not a one size fits all. But in the adult development theory, your brain is able to start exhibiting compassion around your early to mid 20s. That's when you can really start working on your emotional intelligence in the workplace, right? You can become self-aware of your emotions. You can have an emotional management strategy. You can start creating connections with others, reaching out, things like that. Once you get into your mid-30s, it's sort of that, again, there's exceptions, but this is the adult development theory. It's that time in your life where you start to ask these self-reflective questions. Why am I here? What's my life purpose? What are my values? For me, it was, what am I doing in this job? People start questioning. I want to go off and feel like I'm making a difference. And you sort of get to SQ by way of EQ in that explanation. And spiritual intelligence is a faith neutral system. You can be agnostic, you can be atheist. As long as you believe there is a place within you that comes from wisdom and compassion and love that you can access, you can work on the 21 skills of SQ that Cindy Wigglesworth designed, that I'm a certified coach in.
So I super appreciate you pointing out that it's not a religious element, it's spirituality. And could you give us, I guess, like a high level, use the 21 skills that are associated with it? Don't give us all 21, but could you give us like the most important few that you spend the most time focusing on?
Yeah. So I'll start with the definition of SQ. There's lots of definitions of spiritual intelligence, but the one that is associated with the 21 skills is from Cindy Wigglesworth. And she defines spiritual intelligence as the ability to maintain inner and outer peace and make decisions with wisdom and compassion, regardless of the situation you're in. So the 21 skills sort of encompass you being able to do that in life, which is a really tall order, like to maintain inner and outer peace, regardless of the situation you're in. Like, that's crazy. I don't know if that's a tall order for us to rise to, but we can skill build in that every day. So some of the 21 skills, they're broken up into 4 different quadrants, similar to EQI, if you're familiar to Goleman and that. Yeah. Some of these skills are, like I referenced in the beginning, the first 2 quadrants are more of like the inner work you would do as a leader. So are you aware of your values? Have you done a values hierarchy? Have you stack ranked your values? Are you aware of your life purpose? Do you want to do some, have a rich conversation about that and think about some questions around that? Are you aware your worldview isn't the only worldview? What is your skill level in the awareness of the interconnectedness of life? Those are some fun ones or what's your skill level in your breadth of time perception? That's a really cool one to get into, right? And then you get into quadrant 3 and quadrant 4, which is the outside world starts seeing you exhibit these qualities. And typically when I issue an assessment to a leader, they take the SQ21 assessment and then we meet for a coaching debrief. You asked me about a specific skill, and I have to share because every single executive leader that I do a debrief with, I don't lead them in any way. They always ask me about skill 19 in quadrant 4. Okay. That's the social mastery quadrant and skill 19 is making wise and compassionate decisions. So it's super encouraging that these high level leaders want to talk about, hey, I want to talk about skill 19. And recently what I'm finding is there's a polarity in what comes up with that. Many clients on one end need to be more compassionate towards themselves as leaders.
Agreed. Yeah.
And what they're doing is, and I say this without any blame or judgment, they are leading in an empathetic way, but they are taking on other people's work, thinking that they're being a good leader, or maybe they're being the ear for everyone to vent to for more than the time they should allow. And they're depleting their own energy as a leader. And so that's one end of the spectrum that we can get into. And you can look at your skill level there, and you can really come up with some great work where you set boundaries for yourself in the workplace. That's what I would work with a client on. How do I set boundaries? How do I make wise and compassionate decisions towards myself? Then the other end of that is it's obvious, we've all been there kind of thing. This person gets on my nerves. I'm so upset that this person sent me this email right now. I can't stand this employee. They drive me crazy. How do I make wise and compassionate decisions? Or even on a higher scale, hey, we have to do, let's take it to a much larger scale. We need to do mass layoffs. How do I make wise and compassionate decisions with that? And usually what it comes down to is all these skills tied together, but the awareness of the interconnectedness of life, the taking a moment to not just look at a spreadsheet, but understand the servant leadership and the ripple effect you're sending. And there's lots of exercises we can do for that. One in particular is just, just like me, this person is trying to experience joy in life. The compassion exercise, just like me, this person's trying to avoid pain. Reframing the story, putting yourself in their shoes in a visualization. That was a long answer, but I hope I got you there.
That is a great answer. And I think you did a really great job at describing the difference, because I think my next question was going to be like, how do you help people understand the difference between EQ and SQ? And I think you just kind of connected. Is there anything you'd want to add to that to kind of describe the difference between the two? Because in talking about the traits, like I can determine the difference between the two for sure.
Yeah, I would say EQ is more like, how do I manage my emotions? And it's more the I feel part,
okay,
if you will. And then SQ is the deeper leadership skills that you can skill build in. And it's more of the I am.
Okay, a part of things. Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a cocktail hour or a dinner party and people say, what do you do? Or, they try just answering, I am. Let's see what happens. Yeah.
So how would you coach someone to answer that in a cocktail hour? Let's go there.
So if they say, what do you do?
What do you do?
Well, I just challenged everybody to say, I am.
Instead of what I do. Okay, good.
Yeah, just I am. I am. And that's it. I exist. I am.
I am. Period.
Oh,
I am.
There's
it was lost on me the first time. I'm glad.
Yeah, I am. Period. I am. Don't put me in a box or put a mask on me. Yeah. I am a human being. There's an exercise you can do with SQ to skill build in seeing how connected we are and making decisions. And one of them is, I like to share, is when you walk down the street, or if you're driving down the street, you just point to any person you see or any person you interact, and in your mind you say, I am that. I am. I am that. I am that. I am that. And you keep doing it till it like resonates within your higher self. And it's a powerful exercise.
Yeah. That's a great one. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that particular one. Connection, connectedness, authentically connecting are huge conversations that a lot of leaders, executives, business owners, team leads, whatever category of trying to connect with people in the workplace, because connection is super important. How do you, what would be your suggestions for people who don't necessarily feel connected, and what can they do to bring that to life for them, make that magic happen?
Yeah. So I always like to say that I wrote Create Magic at Work for the beer drinking golf guy, male executive that has the really great heart, and wants to do the right thing and wants to connect their team, but doesn't really know where to start. And it doesn't have to be this huge SQ deep dive. It can just, I have to tell you, there's a section in my book called More Than S'mores. And I wasn't even going to put it in the book because I was like, this is so simple and stupid. I'm embarrassed. People are going to judge me or, whatever. But my employees by far voted that this was their favorite activity that we had done. And so I had to put it in there. And all we did was we had a huge quarterly business review, and we were all geographically separated. But during this time, everyone was brought together for the quarterly business review. And then afterwards, we had a bonfire on the beach and we did s'mores. And I just asked them to bring their favorite motivational quote or their favorite passage or something that means to them, that means something great to them. And we went around and each person shared what they had brought and they shared why it meant something to them. There was so much connection in that hanging out, having s'more session. And it was because they were lonely. We were geographically separated, and loneliness and isolation, as we know, pre-COVID Harvard Business Review is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day in healthcare costs, they found. Yeah. And it just hit me that was why that was their favorite. They saw the humanity in each other. They heard what meant something to someone else. They saw that, hey, this person is going through the same struggles I'm going through in life, or they want the same things that I want in my life. And the beauty of it, not to get to the financial piece, but is it frees me up as a leader to do my job. Mm-hmm. Because now they're connected. They know their job more than I know it. They can call each other, collaborate. They can hear that maybe, Shane's going through something that they didn't know. So now they reach out to him to help him. The ripple effect that something small like that has is tremendous. And it shouldn't be discounted. So I like to share those simple things because anyone can do something like that.
And who does not love s'mores, right?
I know, right?
Would you be willing to share one more technique that really would lock in why people should go and get the book? And that is more on a virtual, front. I feel like people are mm-hmm. willing to connect from the Zoom angle, mm-hmm. or having that online connection when people are remote working from other places other than the office now, more so than ever.
Yes. I'll share my favorite one. I have a section in the book called Journaling with a Twist. And so spinning off from that, I created a companion to the book. And I authored a deck of 33 journal prompt cards for the workplace and for your career. And each card has an affirmation and 2 questions to journal. So as a leader, if you're on Zoom and you want to virtually connect with everyone, you can just pull a card meant for the group energetically, and everyone can journal together. So the card I picked, for the show right now is integrity. That's what came up. And the affirmation is, I make sure to carefully plan my work and always deliver what I commit to. Then you pose these 2 questions for the group to journal about. Rapid write, 5 to 10 minutes. Try to access your higher self, not your IQ part of you, right? Not the I think, the I am. What tasks do I rush through? So you let everyone journal in silence on that. Maybe have a little background music. What tasks do I need to complete this week with uninterrupted focus? So scaling down. So there's 33 different themes, like this one's generosity, all for the workplace. This is a perfect connecting activity for a virtual session because you can just pull a card, have everyone journal together in silence. You have that energy going, even though it's virtual. And then when everyone's done journaling, they share their answers. And that's where the connection comes through, is in the sharing.
How much time should people allow for the sharing part of it? Because I know silence is difficult. So music playing, I know is key, to allow people to like think, but not be distracted by it. How much would they allow for a team of 6 people to share?
If it's a team of 6 people, I would give each person maybe 2 minutes tops. And then I would keep the theme deep and brief. We want you to be deep and brief, deep and brief.
Deep and brief. So something that can be accomplished in probably 20 minutes or less. Reflection, share.
Yes. And something that will probably add to your bottom line more than going over a P&L statement at the end of the day. It's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, my team doesn't remember what metrics we had on the board in that meeting, but they remembered the s'mores at the end and the connection. And by the way, we were on top and we were killing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was so cute.
It's her first truly official appearance on the seat. So
yay.
Sailor to the show. Do you have any other helpful tips for people who aren't feeling connected and they're not the leader to run such a session as this? So I'm looking to someone else to create that for me, or possibly expect them to create that for me. What would be your suggestions?
Yeah, I would never expect someone else to create something for me. And I would also offer that just because you don't have a title as a leader does not mean you are not a leader. Titles do not make leaders. And I use tools and different things like this with my friends every day. I just was in a Zoom session with my friend catching up, and we were looking up different themes to talk about together to inspire each other. So you don't have to have a title to start showing connection and making a difference within yourself, right? Go back to what we were talking about earlier. How do I make wise and compassionate decisions for myself? Maybe I have my own deck and I just pull a card for myself every day. I get tagged all the time on Instagram with people that have my deck and they just pull a card for themselves every day. So there you go.
I think that is a fantastic challenge. Super curious. So you just had that session for yourself. What was your takeaway? What is your inspiration for the day based on the card that was pulled? I'm curious.
Oh, I had a super magical session where we had the goosebumps, and it was a 3-card pull, and it was generosity, magic, and time. And they were very strong messages that do I have a balance in my give and take? That was the generosity piece. That goes back to feeling depleted in the workplace, right? And is my energy balanced in giving and receiving? The magic theme was more about, as we're talking, it's the end of September, October starting. It was more about planning out the next 4 weeks in a couple of micro steps and goals that we can implement. And then the time, it was so beautiful how it backed up at the end, because the time was like, hey, given all of this, time is infinite. There is no finish line. And you can make it time expand for yourself. So take a breath and enjoy the journey, because when you get to the end, it's the end.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
For sharing. I appreciate you talking through that and sharing that as an example.
Yeah.
Amy, what is the best way for our listeners to find and follow you?
So I always say, if you want to be a magic maker for the workplace, go to createmagicatwork.net. Everything's there. And LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. Under Amy Lynn Durham, I often post a weekly workplace message for everyone, to give you a little pep in your week, in the beginning of the week. So yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn or go to createmagicatwork.net.
Okay, fantastic. Amy, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. I truly do appreciate the tips that you've shared. on a new topic that we've not yet covered here, which is the spiritual and the EQ side. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great conversation.